Welcome to Module 5 of the MOOC. In this module, we will be talking about the basics of test development, task types, and item writing, all concerned with language tests, obviously. But this module can cover only a small part. We chose those bits that you will hopefully find most practicable for developing and delivering your own tests in your courses, with special regards to formats and task types that suit a digital deployment. In our online course in Chapter 8, you will find complementary information on what applications you can use for your test and how you can best deploy tests in your course. Valuable additional resources you can find on the webpage of the Association of Language Testers of Europe. They range from manuals and guidelines for test development to a multilingual glossary of language testing terms to assessment and materials for the guidance of test item writers. I highly recommend a look at these. On to the topic now. There are 3 questions you should ask before you develop a test. What for should be tested? What should be tested? And how should the what be tested? There are different tests for different purposes to answer the question what for should be tested. Achievement tests are designed to check if certain learning goals have been achieved. A placement test assigns the test taker to different skill levels, mostly to assign her or him to a certain course level. A diagnostic test identifies strengths and weaknesses. The test progresses in difficulty and can tell the level of each skill. A proficiency test is based on a model of competencies, for example the CEFR, and is not related to a course curriculum. Most international language tests are proficiency tests based on the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, like the Cambridge Certificate for English, the Goethe Certificate for German, or the Cervantes Language Test for Spanish. For your online language courses, in most cases, you would choose probably an achievement test, which is tailored to your curriculum. As mentioned, most proficiency tests use the Common European Framework of Reference. Here, the example of the German version, as their basis. The tests are linked to a certain level, A1 to C2, and differentiate between reading, listening, writing, and speaking skills. It is important to formulate the testing aims and goals for any kind of test before, in order to get the desired results. Otherwise, the results could be misleading or inconclusive. Which tasks and test methods or formats are suited to test the what? A task, for example, a reading text with several multiple choice items, all of which can be responded to by referring to a single rubric or instructions. And then you need a test method. Test methods have been observed to interact with ability in the measurement of performance. And language ability can be tested using a variety of methods, such as multiple choice, etc. Having talked about different test types and test formats, we now move on to how we can determine if a test is a good test. There are 2 main quality criteria for tests. Validity. Validity can simply be defined. A test is valid if it measures what we intend to measure. Thus, for example, If our test is intended to measure communicative ability in Italian, and people score systematically higher or lower due to their Italian ability, then our test is valid. Tasks in which the items elicit constructed responses, that means tasks where the candidate has to supply, in written form, an answer, typically have a higher validity but a lower reliability. Reliability in testing means consistency. A test with reliable scores produces the same or similar result on repeated use. Does one performance always get the same results from the same rater and at different times? Note that high reliability does not necessarily imply that the test is good or interpretations of the results are valid. A bad test can produce highly reliable scores. The opposite is not true though. For the valid interpretation of test results, scores must have acceptable reliability, because without it, the results can never be dependable or meaningful. Tasks in which the items elicit selected responses, that means tasks where the candidates have to choose or select an answer, multiple choice for example, have a high reliability but a lower validity, simply because one could get a high result by successfully guessing the answers without knowing anything. A good test should therefore put validity before reliability. This is achieved usually by using a broad variety of test formats with little probability to guess. Designing a test has few challenges. After you have developed a clearer idea of the content and the format, you should also determine a number of technical features of the test, including the following. Enough time should normally be allowed for an average test taker to complete all the items without rushing. The most important consideration is that test takers have sufficient opportunity to show their true ability. Enough items are needed to cover the necessary content and provide reliable information about the test taker's ability. Items can elicit selected or constructed responses. Selected responses types include multiple choice or matching, which are good for reliability. Constructed response types include short responses like gap filling or extended writing. Item types have different advantages and disadvantages. More on that in video 3. Generally, the best policy is 1 mark per item. However, there may occasionally be a reason to weigh items by giving them more or less marks. In the next videos, we will expand on item writing and the different item types you can use. Thank you.